Haitians march for peace as their country faces more violence. Heavily armed gangs have expanded their territory and now control communities with some 2 million people. The UN has called for the deployment of a multinational force, but will Haitian civilians tolerate an armed foreign presence? And would any country step up to take the lead? I'm Andrea Sankey, and today's newsmaker is Haiti. Thousands of Haitians took to the streets of Port-au-Prince on Sunday, calling for an end to criminal gang violence and the humanitarian crisis that has ravaged their Caribbean nation. Marches were also held in Canada, the United States, and France. The gang violence has fueled a severe humanitarian crisis that the UN says has displaced over 165,000 people. Here's a look.
Gang violence is ravaging Haiti. Gangs are using kidnapping and rape as weapons to intimidate and control civilians. The violence has also slowed down economic activity. Half of the population is suffering from extreme poverty and hunger and lacks regular access to drinking water. This is what UN Chief Antonio Guterres saw on his visit to the Caribbean nation.
I continue to urge the Security Council to authorize the immediate deployment of a robust international security force to assist the Haitian National Police in the fight against gangs. And I call on the international community to be ready to follow up on this decision of the Security Council that I desire. Now, it is not the time to forget about Haiti or weaken our solidarity with its people.
Days after his appeal, the Security Council met to discuss Haiti. Countries voiced their support for the deployment, but no one seems willing to step up and lead such a force. Around the time of the meeting, US State Secretary Antony Blinken was also on a trip to the Caribbean. He pledged additional security support in Haiti in a meeting with Prime Minister Ariel Henry, and said the US is trying to find a solution.
And we're in active conversations, of course, at the United Nations about what it might do to give, of course, the proper imprimatur from the international community. Part of this involves making sure that countries step up to play important roles in such a force.
The US has encouraged Canada to take the lead, but Canada has pushed back.
Outside intervention, as we've done in the past, hasn't worked to create long-term stability for Haiti. So we are now working closely with partners on the ground to enable the Haitian National Police and other institutions to stabilize the country in this very difficult time.
Foreign forces have intervened in Haiti at least 3 times since the early 1990s. In 2004, the UN deployed peacekeepers to quell the rebellion that ousted President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. A 13-year mission was marred with rampant accusations of sexual assault, and a sewage leak from a UN base led to a cholera outbreak that killed thousands of Haitians.
Today, it is not the United States, France or Canada who will come to get us out of our situation. It is with a machete that we can get out of the situation.
On Sunday, thousands of Haitians marched in the capital to call for an end to gang violence and the humanitarian crisis. The instability also makes them more vulnerable to the effects of earthquakes and climate change-driven floods. But the UN's appeal for $720 million to help them is only 23% funded.
Collectively, the world is failing the Haitian people, and unless we take immediate action, it's hard to imagine a decent future for the population there.
Restoring security appears essential for better living conditions and democratic elections. But right now, it's a complicated task with many setbacks which push Haitians even deeper into a deadly spiral.
So, under those conditions, Haitians have become increasingly dependent on help from the outside. But even Médecins Sans Frontières, a medical charity with extensive experience in conflict zones, has pulled out over a lack of security. Well, joining me now to debate the state of Haiti and what's really needed to help civilians now are from Port-au-Prince, Mathias Pierre. He is Haiti's former elections minister and former presidential candidate in the 2015 Haitian election. From London is Rosa Freedman. She's a professor of law, conflict, and global development at University of Reading. And from Baltimore is Michael Deibert. He is a journalist and the author of Haiti Will Not Perish, A Recent History. Thanks all so much for being with us. Mathias, I'll begin with you. If you can, give us some real perspective on the humanitarian crisis on the ground and how badly ordinary Haitians have been left to suffer. Would you ever say it is back almost to the depths of post-quake times in 2010?
Oh, I think our country has been facing the poverty challenge for quite a long time. Certainly, I have to admit, this started after 1986, and particularly the neo-liberalism of starting in Haiti. And particularly, if you get to 1995, when the U.S., particularly President Clinton, start getting President Aristide back, that created a situation where we become dependent on the U.S. for food. And we import food almost for $3.4 billion a year from the U.S. So, and other countries. So basically, Haiti has become dependent, and you have different crises coming after that. You have the embargo between
has it improved
and
at all, though, since the time reference you just made under Bill Clinton? Has anything gotten better, or is this the low point of the last 2 decades?
I would say, since the food riot in 2008, plus the earthquake, and now the situation that we're facing, and all the other political challenges that we are, Haiti is in a crisis. Poverty has been accentuated, and people become poor and poor. Less people get to work, and that's the actual situation based on the fact that today we have violence adding to the top. Port-au-Prince is been encircled by gangs, and food cannot come from outside of the country to get into the capital.
Right.
That's created the main crisis that we have in today.
Okay. So, Michael, poverty obviously has just increasingly become more and more heavy on the population of Haiti, but this level of violence is truly remarkable at this time. And now you actually have civilians fighting back against the gangs. So they're fighting back against these illegal gangs by actually taking the law into their own hands, also illegally. Should they be doing it? Do they have a choice?
Yeah. I think, I mean, I really appreciated Monsieur Pierre giving some historical context to the kind of growth of these illegal armed groups. I mean, in many ways, you know, Haiti is experiencing this kind of multifaceted crises that can be in some ways traced back to the mid-90s, both into the kind of the destruction of the local agricultural economy, and also to the kind of, I would say, the template of using armed youth gangs, especially in Port-au-Prince, but also elsewhere in the country, which was in many ways in the 90s pioneered by Jean-Bertrand Aristide and the Lavalas Party. And since then, it has metastasized into the body politic, where all of the political groups mostly have these various gunmen. What you have that has changed in the last couple of years, I think, is that these gangs have reached a level of autonomous power where they are not necessarily dependent upon their political and economic patrons in a way that they used to be. So now, for example, after these years of inter-gang warfare and gang warfare against what passes as the Haitian state, I mean, I find it hard to call what rules Haiti now a government, because you have a prime minister who has no legal or constitutional right to be in the office he holds right now. But these gangs now are creating peace pacts kind of among themselves in order to solidify their control over neighborhoods in and around Port-au-Prince. The people, having been completely abandoned by the government and the international community, basically have taken to forming these militias and this movement called Wakale, which kind of translates into chop wood in English. And they're doing it because their alternative is to allow their neighborhoods to be, overtaken by gangs and for them to get massacred. And I feel myself hard placed to criticize the people who are forming these militias because I don't think they really have any other choice.
Understood. Rosa, let me turn to you. As he was just saying, we have this government now that was never democratically elected. And so many Haitians have actually rejected this government. But somehow, after this year, it now seems to have settled in. Is it better than nothing? Or is it still a core part of the problems we're seeing on the ground?
Well, as my fellow panelists were saying, this is not to be seen in a vacuum. The political interference in Haiti has been going on for many decades, if not ever since it became the first black sovereign state and overthrew the colonial powers. There's been interference. It's just a newer version of colonialism. And we know that this government is not just incapable of addressing the violence, but that it's complicit to some extent with the gangs and with the corruption that's been endemic in the country and increasing over recent months. What we also see is not only is this government illegitimate and incapable of ruling, but also that Haitians themselves are rejecting this government. And the history of the country tells us that the international community would rather try and intervene in a neo-colonial way, rather than allow Haitians to choose their own legitimate government and to choose who rules over them and who governs them. That's what we ought to be calling for, not for yet another UN intervention or international interference, but actually to listen to Haitians about Haitian solutions for Haitian problems, to support Haitians and not call this a humanitarian disaster, but actually to help bring political stability from the ground upwards rather than a top-down interference.
The problem is, and let me come back to Mathias. The problem is this foreign force has also been called for by the Haitian, and I'll put it in quotations, the Haitian government. They've asked for this help. Is a foreign force an actual option as it's been called for? I mean, in general, the Haitian people have actually rejected it. They have very dark memories, we know, of foreign interventions in the past. But the violence not only continues, it's gotten worse. So is there an option for foreign help?
I think, first of all, I have to say that the government has called that foreign force because the international community, particularly the US, have asked them, not defending the government because this is their playbook. There's gang, no security, so no election. Because the government has been there for 120 days in the solo objective to organize election. They didn't do it, and it's been 2 years, no security, no election. But to understand the complexity of the security in Haiti, back in 1994, the US government with 20,000 soldiers get down to Haiti on the demand of President Aristide, dismantle the national army. And by dismantling the national army, the US government has put an embargo on Haiti not to acquire weapons, ammunition, and any equipment for Haiti to be able to protect itself. President Jovenel, the assassinated president, has ordered weapons that has never been delivered either by the United States or by partners of the United States. How can a country be protected if the country cannot acquire equipment, materials, and weapons and ammunition? The international community, particularly the US government, has decided we need only a national police while we have to protect our borders. They don't want us to have an army. And most of our government blindly accept the fact that Haiti cannot have an army. Now, President Jovenel has put together the army. 2,000 people has been mobilized, not equipped, and they cannot help the police to tackle the gangs. Now, what needs to be done and that the Haitian government is not doing so far is one, negotiate with the US government 2 things. One, to be able to acquire weapon, ammunition, and equipment. 2, most of the guns and ammunition that are coming in Haiti illegally are coming from the United States. You know about the Second Amendment, people can buy whatever weapon and ammunition that they need, no control. So those are being bought by people in the US, sent illegally to Haiti, and fueling the gangs. And on the third aspect, the Haitian government needs to take responsibility to declare a state of emergency on security, to put necessary resources. When Canada, for example, is saying we're putting $100 million to help with security, Haitian government doesn't come with our own experts who understand the security of Haiti to say this is our plan, how we want to work it out. So they're playing the playbook of the international community. There's no security, no elections. So basically, the status quo is there. So they are there, and it's been 2 years, and nobody knows for how long.
Okay. Michael, let me turn to you, because we need to kind of understand the dynamics of the propagation of arms and weapons in Haiti itself. I mean, here we have Mathias saying that the Haitian national forces, the Haitian government, Haitian police forces, need to be given proper weapons in order to fight this war against the gangs. But here you have this massive number of illegal weapons among the gangs themselves. So is it just fighting fire with more fire that only ends badly for everybody? Or is arming the national forces really part of the solution? And should the U.S. be doing that?
Yeah, I mean, Mathias is completely right when he says that there's this kind of river of iron that is flowing from the United States into Haiti in terms of illegal weapons. Many of the weapons that are seized at Haitian ports are coming from places like Florida and whatnot and being illegally smuggled into the country. But backing up slightly, I mean, what I would say is certainly in 1995, the Haitian army was demobilized in a completely illegal and unconstitutional way. They were still written into the Constitution, so they were basically disbanded, but not completely, in a legal way. And so what you had step into that breach was you had an extremely, I would say, underfunded and understaffed police force that successive political currents, not only Lavalas, but also the Parti Haitien Tech Calais, which was the party of the former president, Michel Martelly, where they, corrupted the police force in a way that it wasn't a neutral political law enforcement body the way it should have been, where it was basically kind of a bludgeon of the state. So you have, I would say, these connections between these armed groups and their, historic political and economic sponsors. You have the corruption of the security forces by those same sponsors. So what I think you would need, in addition to supporting, in terms of tactically and militarily and whatnot, the security situation in Haiti, you need some sort of body that has a power to investigate and prosecute these elite actors and their links to illegal armed groups. You had something like that in Guatemala for about a decade that was ended a couple years ago that was extremely successful in its task. It had, Guatemalan prosecutors and investigators supported by the international community in I'd say, a more productive way than simply just,
Do you believe Haiti, though, has those conditions that Guatemala had to make that work? Because Guatemala was not gang infested in the way Haiti has been.
Oh, I would disagree. I mean, I think Guatemala was completely, and it's still in some ways completely overrun by Barrio 18, MS-13. It had a civil war where 200,000 people were killed. It has extremely violent and criminally minded economic and political elites. And I think, if that would be a more permanent and structural step in helping the situation in Haiti, rather than simply saying, okay, we're going to kill this gang leader and that gang leader, because the problem is bigger than any one individual or one political party. It's kind of this structural systemic problem. And I think it needs that kind of a solution.
I mean, Rosa, we're still, though, hearing the calls. I mean, when you hear Antonio Guterres so passionately say that this is an obligation almost of humanity to step into Haiti and help, that this multinational force is needed. If we take it from there, and those intentions are good, is it possible to get a foreign intervention right this time in Haiti? Lessons have been learned in the past. Now they can do it properly. Is it possible?
I mean, Of course, it's possible. In order to have a UN intervention, the government or the state has to consent to it. And we can see that Ariel Henry will consent to it if the Security Council asks to send in a stabilization mission or a peacekeeping operation or some other UN type of force. Whether it's possible to create it is one thing. Whether it has any legitimacy and can act on the ground is another. We saw with Haiti, in terms of MINUSTA, what happened with the introduction of cholera, which, even though the UN has apologized for bringing cholera into the country and sickening and killing hundreds of thousands of people, it has not provided remedies, despite many efforts by many states and many actors. There has been sexual exploitation and abuse throughout not only the peacekeeping and stabilization missions, but also throughout UN agencies, which is not unique to Haiti. But paternity claims have not gone through for peacekeeper fathered children. And while there are calls for an intervention of some type, we have seen time and again that these interventions do not center Haitians and Haitian voices. They center the elites and the corruption. As Michael was saying, there needs to be a real understanding of why is it that so many Haitians were able to go marching in the streets. Who told the gangs to leave them alone this weekend? Who is coordinating this on the ground? What is the relationship between these gangs and not only elites in Haiti, but elites who are outside of the country? And without really understanding that even a force that did go in would not be able to create lasting stability or the conditions needed for Haitians to be able to govern over themselves.
I just want to see if Mathias can actually answer the questions you just raised. Go ahead, Mathias.
The problem is that we have a structural poverty, economics exclusion that reinforce these people coming from the slum, arming themselves and using the poor population as shielded. And from there, they protect themselves and certainly trying to create a way out. How do we address that? I think it's up to the Haitians, but with the will, not to hold on power as it's being done now, in the will of creating a real legitimate government.
Okay, so the attempt, let's talk about that then, because the attempt made a few years ago was through the Montana Accord. And people were upset by the conclusion of the Montana Accord because it gave about 2 years to kind of complete the process, hold an election. People said that was way too long. Something had to be done now, and now look where it is. It's so much
clarify.
worse.
The Montana Accord is a group trying to claim power by nominating in a hotel their own president. This is not the solution of Haiti. We need to get elections, clear election, free election for a legitimate power elected by the people of Haiti to get to power, and from there, organize to get control of violence. That's what Haiti is needed. And now, the actual government, with the perception of the support of the international community, is getting in the way of the election. How do we get this government to organize elections? How do we get out of the concept in the international community playbook saying there is no security, there will be no election? I think by engaging in the process of election, where leaders see clearly there is an electoral competition coming, I think there can be alleviation in the force of the gang and in the security in the country.
Okay. I'm going to come back to Michael then, because looking at the title of your book, there's so much, it seems almost endless, devastating news coming out of Haiti year after year. Yet you have said Haiti will not perish. Why? Why do you believe in this country that it can overcome the immeasurable challenges that no other country in the Western Hemisphere has had to face? You think Haiti can do it. Why?
Sure. I mean, by all rights, in terms of historical pressures, Haiti as a state shouldn't even exist. I mean, they were formed in 1804, defeating probably the most powerful army in the world, and they were surrounded by decades afterwards by extremely hostile slave-owning foreign powers, including the United States, including the Spanish Empire. And it's succeeded in existing in not disappearing through all of those challenges. And today, the country is in a really grave situation. I mean, I don't want to downplay it at all. It's in a situation of, extreme politically inspired violence that has gone beyond politically inspired violence into a kind of generalized criminal anarchy. But when you go to Haiti, I mean, the last time I was in Haiti was in January. I mean, there's an extraordinary heroism and bravery at the people who go out and work every day, for the little wages that they get or however they can cobble together a living. And you see that maybe to even more of a degree in the countryside, which is a part of Haiti that often gets forgotten in kind of the international discussion of the country.
Okay.
And there's a great sense of nationhood there. And I think that is the building block, and that is the root of the Haiti that can be built after this current crisis is overcome.
Okay. Michael, that will have to be the final word. I apologize to Rosa for not being able to return to you, but unfortunately, we're completely out of time for this edition of the Newsmakers. I'd like to thank all three of you so much for being with us, and our viewers, of course, for joining us as well. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Andrea Sankey. We'll see you next time.